morning. DeWitt Jones was he is a professional photographer, a speaker, an author, a filmmaker. And I love some of the stories he tells when he worked for National Geographic as a photojournalist and would go into all sorts of parts of the world to take photos and record for the story. He would take thousands of photos and they might use 30 or 40, but he speaks of the journey of creating the photo. He would he would see something and he would take the photo and he would look into it and see the distractions, and yes, the object, that the subject of interest is there, but there's other stuff there as well that's distracting, and it's a nice photo, but it's nothing special. And so he would zero in, he might get closer or step further back and get a bigger angle, or move over here or over there, or go around the other side, or go high or go low, or look for a different perspective, a different angle to make this photo something special and to highlight this subject that it was of interest. And I've appreciated that in learning some of those things in my own taking photographs, photography, of seeing the beauty and the wonder that I want to record, but looking at the distractions around and seeing what's there, the patterns, or stepping over here and getting a better angle, or over there, or holding the camera down low and getting a different view up, or from up high, or wider or closer in. The perspective and the angle can make a big difference, can change the view, the way we see the world. And looking through the camera has helped me to see the world in different ways, to see things that I might have missed. The dewdrops on the flower glistening in the morning light, the reflections off the water, the sky and the clouds and the trees. It helps me to see differently. But it's not just photography or art or music or poetry or stories, things that I love, or the ancient wisdom that I read in scriptures and hear in other cultures and other traditions beyond my own Christian faith. The wisdom of the ancients that comes down and echoes through the ages. But also sitting with people in the midst of grief and loss, as they wrestle with life and its meaning and mortality and what it means to be human, where the expectations and the persona and the facade are stripped away, leaving the vulnerable person. Or speaking with people from different cultures who have a different background, a different skin colour, a different language, a different homeland, a different cultural story and tradition and expectations, who see the world very differently, a different lifestyle. Or those who are marginalised and pushed to the edges of society, who don't have access to money and power and wealth and all that, but live differently. What they hope for and dream of and what's important to them. Or people who live with mental illness or chronic illness or disability or intellectual disability, for whom the world is very different and who have a different slant and take and perspective on life and what's important. And all these things help me to think about and see the world in a different way. Different from the raw expectations and pressures of a culture in which I live. From the media and the advertising and the corporations and the experts and professionals who tell me what I must do and be, who create the image of how we should look, of success, of making it in the world, of what's really important and what will make me happy and what is meaningful. And we try and pursue this way, but it's endless. We never quite make it. The meaning we hope for in wealth or in power or in fame or celebrity, we never quite get there. We never quite experience it. We're always striving for more and more and more. We have more toys and we collect more stuff. We have bigger bank accounts and investment portfolios, bigger houses, better jobs, and still we yearn for something deeper. And this week I come to two stories, two texts, ancient texts. One from the ancient prophet of Micah, speaking to the people of Israel. And God speaking into their lives, what must I do? What more? Can't you see that I've delivered you and I am the way? And this prophet asking, what is it that God wants from me to offer? All the rams and sheep and cattle that I have, or all the wealth I've accumulated. Does God want all that? No. What does the Lord require? The Lord requires that I act justly, love kindness, and walk humbly with my God. To act justly, to love kindness, and to walk in humility with God. It's very different from what we hear in world politics or even many religious parts of our world, where there is power or glory or success or control, belief systems, judgment, inclusion and exclusion. And God seeks justice, kindness and humility. And then we hear the story, Matthew's story of Jesus this week, which is Matthew painting this wonderful picture of Jesus as the new Moses. Moses, the great leader of the people, of the Hebrew people, who led them in God's strength out of Egypt, out of oppression, and led them to the promised land, who went up to the mountain and received the Ten Commandments, these ethical, cultural, religious laws and rules to guide their lives and make their community more harmonious and workable under God. And Jesus is this new greater Moses in Matthew's mind, the one who will deliver the world into this reign of God, this promised land of God. And in this story, Jesus climbs a mount, and delivers his so-called Sermon on the Mount, beginning with the Beatitudes. And he says, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the humble, the meek. Blessed are those who are merciful. Blessed are those who are pure in heart. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are those who are peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted for my sake. These kinds of blessings he names. And it's not, if you do these things, you'll be blessed. But the people in these places are blessed. And I recall a mate of mine, Steve, who spoke on this passage, and he recalled the A-listers of society, the people who are invited to the best parties, have the best seats in the house, the wealthy, the rich and famous and celebrity and powerful, who are fawned over by other people, who like to have selfies taken with them. These are the A-listers. And we look at their lives and what they do and where they go, and we think they're blessed. But Jesus names these others, the poor in spirit, those who recognize their own poverty of spirit, that they can't do it in their own strength, they can't make it, they need help of other people and of God. Those who are merciful, who give themselves into mercy, or are humble and meek, who push their egos aside and recognize their humility, or those who are pure in heart, or make peace without violence and killing and control and domination, who hunger and thirst for righteousness and justice, not more money and power, but justice on the earth, and fight for it, work for it, and who are persecuted. These, I think, we would call the B-listers or the D or the E-listers. They're not the ways that the world around us thinks of valuing people. And yet this is what Jesus says, the ones who are blessed. He turns the view of the world upside down. A bit like Dwight Jones, who got down on the forest floor to take a picture upwards rather than downwards, who saw from a different angle and helps me to see the world in a different way. Jesus invites me to see the world in a different way that may seem upside down, to value the deep and true things. If I pursue wealth and success or fame or power, will I find happiness, blessedness, joy? When I look into the lives of some of those people, I wonder. We live in a society that's wealthier than ever before, has access to more knowledge and information, more of everything. And yet there's a pandemic of anxiety and depression and suicide, of boredom, of loneliness, of addictions. The people who have more of everything seem to have less of what's really important. And as I walk along the paths and the tracks along the Toongabbie Creek each day with Nico, I look and see the blue sky and the clouds, the sun filtering through the trees, the flowers in bloom in their season, the rippling of the creek, sometimes full and sometimes low, the reptiles that make their home around there and come out in their season, the birds that sing and squawk, and cockatoos and parrots, the insects, the animals, the dogs and other things that walk along the creek. And I wonder, this is so beautiful. This is wealth. This is beauty. This is meaning. When I sit down at a table and share with family or friends and tell stories and laugh and cry together, this is lovely. This is life. This is beautiful. This is wonderful. And it doesn't take lots of money or power. It takes humility, purity of heart, mercy. And when we share the pain of life that comes our way, when we mourn the state of the world, when we look into the lives of people who struggle and pray for another way, or work for justice. These are the things that Jesus invites us into, to turn the world upside down and see it differently, and to live into the wonder and the awe and the beauty and the life that God calls us to and invites us into. A life that is inclusive and brings other people into this community with all their diversity and wonder and differences in the way they see the world, to learn together what life can be about and to live with justice and hope, faith, hope and love in the way of Jesus. Dwight Jones helps me to see the world in a different way. In a deeper way, Jesus turns my world upside down into a way of love and life. Will you follow in his way?